Hey guys, welcome to the show. Super excited to have you here for another episode here where we're really like talking to Christian men in particular about things like quitting porn, crushing this passive weak life. In fact, before we even clicked record, Nick and Amy and I were all just talking about this in some ways of just how men have become passive and weak in just different ways. We're trying to figure out like we're here in this short life that we have and we want to make the most of it. We want to be the best husbands, the best fathers, the best followers of Christ that we can be. And so we're bringing topics continually about that. Like, how do we live out that purpose? How do we not miss any days? How do we get to the end of life with as few regrets as possible? And so I'm really excited about that and having my friends on today from Ultimate Intimacy, Nick and Amy McKinlay. We actually co-wrote a book together. If you're watching YouTube, you can kind of see the picture of the book here. It's called Let's Talk About Sex, 20 Things Christian Husbands and Wives Wish Their Spouse Knew or Maybe Would Do, but don't know how to tell you or talk about it. And so I'm really excited to bring them on and just kind of like their years of experience in working with married couples to go from good to great. They just come with a wealth of information. But in particular, I really needed a female's perspective in this book because I'm not one and Nick is not one. And so with their years of experience here, I really wanted to talk about how do we grow stronger marriages? How do we have a thriving sex life like I think God intended for us to have? And I wanted to speak to women really kind of clearly and directly from what I think I've gathered from my own personal experiences, but much wider than that. Like, what are men saying to me? What are the issues that men wish we knew how to communicate better about sex and intimacy and romance and love and all these things? But I knew the balance obviously was that we needed a woman's perspective to speak to us. And so obviously as a podcast for Christian men in particular, I'm really grateful to have my friends on today to gather from their wisdom and knowledge on these things. So Nick, Amy, thank you for jumping in today and joining the show.
Thank you so much.
It's going to be so great. I'm really looking forward. I've got some, I think, great questions that are really going to help men to, I hope they'll listen in closely. I hope they'll take some notes. I hope they will visit ultimateintimacy.com and connect with you. I think there's so much wisdom and things that you guys have for what you do on a day-to-day basis that's going to be helpful. So I want to jump in, and Amy, I want to start with you. Obviously, as my co-author of the book, so grateful for you and all that you put into that, all the wisdom that, again, like it made the book what it is. It's selling well. The reviews are coming back from people that are reaching out to you guys and to me and saying like, man, this has been so helpful. And that was our whole mission, right? It was like, let's just be helpful to couples. And so maybe Amy, like talk to men that are listening today that are saying like, I want a better sex life, or at least I want to like keep it going, right? Like I want to get better in this area of my life. It means a lot to us, but we're missing something. Talk about it from a woman's perspective. What is the key from a woman's perspective to a better sex life? And what are guys maybe missing in that?
Think that a lot of husbands are missing the fact that women want to be heard, seen, and like you really have to know their heart. I guess is the right word. It's all I mean, all we talk about is emotional intimacy, connection comes first. And a lot of husbands are reaching out to us and they're like, I don't even know what that means. Like she has this big list of all these things that have to be checked off before she'll even think about being intimate. And that's a whole discussion on itself.
Mhm.
But I think women are more, hopefully, a little more simple about they just want to feel heard. They want to feel seen. They want to feel valued. And the more we work with couples and hear from couples, I think we realize we're really the same in
Mm.
a lot of ways. I think that we think, oh my gosh, like we're so opposites, we're so different, our drives are so different. I think we really are a lot alike. We just have to figure out how to learn each other and communicate better in these areas.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, that's great.
And husbands are not understanding how important it is for a wife to feel safe emotionally,
Yeah,
what that looks like to her. And I know every wife is different, so I can't speak to all women.
sure.
We can dive into that. Like, what does that look like? Like, how do you have these conversations with your wife? Because when you really have strong emotional foundation in your marriage, you're friends, right?
Mhm.
you're friends first, and that's where the great intimacy comes from. So we have to figure out in a marriage is like, how do we talk about this? How do we dive into those barriers that are keeping us from having great intimacy? And as soon as you can start talking about those and being open with those and vulnerable with those, like your marriage just changes.
Yeah. Yeah. You said it right in the beginning there that men need to connect with the woman's heart. And
Right.
as soon as you say that, we clam up. We're like, "Well, I have no idea what the crap you're talking about."
Yeah.
Right, Nick? It's like,
Oh, for sure. Well, I think as men, like it's very easy for us, like, we only know what we know, right? And so when we approach sex or we approach intimacy in any other way, we approach it from the only understanding that we have, which is I can be ready to go at a moment's notice, and this is how I react. So this must be how my wife reacts, and
yep.
and that's not the case, right? Like Amy said, it's totally different. We need to connect. Men need to connect with their wives emotionally before the wives are going to want to connect sexually. And so it's finding that balance.
Yeah. And so like, let's be like as practical as we can for the guy listening. And he's like, okay, like, and I think this is like so much of a man's world. Like, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
practically speaking, how does a man connect with his wife's heart in practical ways? What does that look like?
I think it goes both ways too, because we hear a lot of women that say, my husband should know what I need. I shouldn't have to
Mm,
tell.
hmm
We hear that a lot. And we're like, no, your husband can't read your mind. And we as men, even often when we know something, it's still hard for us to continue to do that, right? Like I think there's some about just, and it's not that the wife's nagging and saying you need to keep doing this, but whether it's having those discussions and understanding what each other's love languages are, and if those are changing and things like that, and just having that good communication about what each other needs in the relationship. And I think women need to be a little more sensitive to men, to rather than assume that
Yeah.
they should just always know what they need, that it's okay to say, hey, honey, I really need this from you at this time, because 99.9% of the men out there would be like, I would love to hear that. I would love to give you exactly what you want, regardless of what it is. And
Yes.
it's not that we don't want to hear that. We want to hear that.
Yes.
If women understood that it really is just that simple, and it all comes down to that communication. Like so many things in marriage could just thrive just by talking about it more and having that good communication.
Yeah. You nailed it.
A really good practical tip. I know this is like so simple, but it's so hard for some husbands. If you woke up in the morning and you literally just looked at your wife and you said, how can I love you better today? How can I love you better today? Like, what does that look like to you? What can I do better? And she's in a good place where she's like, well, this is how I'm feeling, and this would really, really help me feel.
Mhm.
That simple question, that's a great starter to emotional intimacy. It's just that simple. And if she's like, when you come from work, I would love you to just start helping me out with this, this, or this. Or when we both come from home from work, let's find more balance. Like whatever that is, maybe she needs more romance. Maybe she feels like you're not dating her or pursuing her anymore. Maybe she feels like you're on your phone instead of connecting and talking to her about your day because you're tired. You just don't want to talk about it. But those little tiny things are not hard to do and will change her entire attitude on intimacy.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and it's like we've said this many times in the writing of the book that this is more of like a resource versus like I'm just going to sit and read it once and go through it. It's more like if we literally could get people to talk about sex, they could talk about anything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be explicitly about sex. It literally is just like, how can I make your day better? Whatever the phraseology is, that you're totally right. Like that simple way of just going like, I want to serve you better. If a man could just take that, and I hope that's what the listeners will hear out of this. If a man could just say, how can I make your life better today? He's not thinking of that question in terms of sexuality, but he probably doesn't know, right, Amy, like what it's doing to her heart, which was the whole key.
Great.
She's feeling heard. She's feeling seen. She's feeling wanted simply by having a husband who says, I want to be engaged. I want to help. What does that look like?
Well, and here's the thing too, and a lot of polls that we've done, in fact, one of them, where we polled both husbands and wives, it was like 92 or 93% said sexual intimacy is vital for a healthy and strong marriage. That was not just men, that was women. So women also understand that. But like Amy's talking about, there's certain things we need to do as men to connect with our wives on that emotional level before they're going to have the desire to be intimate. But for the most part, women do want to be intimate with their husbands, but they need
There's a barrier.
yeah, there's those barriers in place.
And the barrier, maybe just kind of speak to that just a little bit further, but like, what are some of the barriers that maybe we don't even see? Because I think it's a big issue here is when it comes to the heart or emotional connection, guys are like, I don't even know how to label what I'm feeling, let alone worry about what she's feeling, right?
Right.
We just kind of shut that off, but
Mhm.
that itself is a barrier, maybe just talking that way about it. But what are some of the other barriers, again, that kind of a guy listening might go, oh, you know what, I do that.
And when I say some of these barriers, like they can definitely go both ways. So if the husband is like, well, my wife's the one that does that, like I understand that can go both ways. But like phone are number one.
Yeah,
Right.
great point.
All addictive to wiping and looking, picking up our phone, always having it in our pocket. Like that is hurting intimacy. Like hobbies. Hobbies are getting in the way. We're picking hobbies. Our careers are stressing us out, or we're bringing that home. I think just being, what am I missing? Oh,
Well, I think
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of barriers that are caused by wives too, that like overscheduling your kids into stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I like? Obviously,
right.
goes both ways, but
But as we're talking to husbands, I think the biggest one, it has to do with like balance in the home. We did a poll not long ago, and it was like almost 55-60% of women feel like they take over more of the burden and the responsibility and the stress that's constantly on their mind when it comes to, things in the home and scheduling kids stuff and things like that. So I think if husbands could take a more active role in, helping with around the house and scheduling things and just being present that way, that would be huge for the wives. And again, we take polls and we find out that this is what a lot of women are saying. So,
and this is why they're struggling with it, because back in the day, a lot of wives were staying at home, and that was literally their job, was to kind of manage the home. Now you've got a huge chunk of wives outside working, and a lot of husbands are still expecting them to do the things that they did when moms were stay at home. It doesn't work like that anymore, right?
Great point.
Then the home and the kids are equally your job, because that's common sense, right? But like a lot of men are like, well, I raised like this. She takes care of this, and this. That's just what naturally women do.
Yes.
Those weren't naturally all working outside the home, and that changes everything.
That's a great
So,
point.
like a tip for a husband in this situation is like, if his wife does work outside the home, do a weekly marriage meeting. Like seriously, sit down like on Sunday night, Monday mornings, whatever works for your schedule, and be like, what is the plan this week? Like get a calendar out and be involved in that calendar. Like color code, like we have kids in all sorts of activity, music, sports, schools. Like the emails alone are insane for a wife. Like my kids all have like 7 teachers. Can you imagine my inbox, right? Just being a mom. And so, and that's not even including like all the extracurricular things. So if a husband's like, wow, like I didn't realize how much you take on, like I'd love to be a part of that. Just saying I would love to be a part of that and take some of that off of you, that's huge. Okay. So if you could sit down as a couple and be like, here's what our week looks like. Here's all the kids' activities. I got to get them here, there. We got to find someone to take them here. We got to do this. Who's going to take care of dinner, right? Because if a wife's been working all day too, it's not just her job to go take care of dinner. It's not her job to clean up dinner. It's not like we got to have more teamwork in marriage.
Yes.
And marriage is never 50-50. A lot of the time,
never going to be.
it's never going to be fair. But my favorite quote is marriage needs to feel fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like just having these discussions once a week and like, how do I, like same question, right? Like, how do I love you more? How do we balance this better? How do we have teammates and like real friendship in the marriage, not just in the marriage, but in our parenting also. And when a wife feels like the family's unified and the parents unified, like that's just huge when it comes to intimacy.
Yeah. And I want to hit on, again, it's not 50-50, and that should not be the goal, because if you're trying to get to 50-50 in scorekeeping, it's going to be detrimental to your marriage. It's no different than being on a basketball team where one player is playing, 40 minutes and the other player is playing 5 minutes. They're both, trying to contribute to help the team. And so I think to simplify for the men listening out there, just step it up around the house and get more involved with what's going on and try to take some of that burden off what your wife's dealing with. That That's one big thing that's a barrier to intimacy.
And I just want to add too that we hear a lot about the mental load, the mental load. Yeah,
Mm.
wives do have a mental load, right? Like that's a
Mhm.
real thing. And if we get stressed out or overly exhausted, intimacy goes to the back burner.
Yep.
And a lot of the time for husbands, that goes to the front burner, right? Like,
Yep. That's right.
For intimacy, the way to connect. Yeah.
but like I understand that husbands have a mental load too. They're just better at like hiding it, taking it on by themselves, and don't want to like bug their wife about it.
That's right.
But like when you can sit down as a couple and be like, "What's your mental load?" Well, I
Mhm.
don't. You're not the only one that carries one. Why don't I can I share mine also?
Yeah.
That brings unifying into the marriage, right? Because there's days where it's easy for wife to start scorekeeping. I'm like, I do everything. He's bad, and I did this today and this today. And a lot of the times we don't realize, like, wow, I didn't realize he was dealing with this and
Yep.
this and this. And a lot of men have very stressful jobs, labor intensive jobs, are emotionally exhausted too. They just don't always share that. So the more vulnerable we can be in our marriages with each other, I
Yep.
think the teamwork and the unity can just really expand.
Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick break from the show to share with you 3 things that I think could help you to become more of the man that God meant for you to be: a better husband, a better father, and a better follower of Jesus Christ. 3 things, totally free, that I think can help you. Number 1 is our podcast. Hit the subscribe button, share them with a friend. That makes a big difference, not only in your life, but in somebody else that you care about as well. And it helps us to reach more men. Number 2, we do a free weekly newsletter that is short, it's concise, it deals with just one key question and then 3 simple action items each week that will help you to get in the fight in a really practical way. You can find that at getinthefight.club/newsletter. And then lastly, you can join our Fight Club community. This is a free private app for Christian men only, where you can talk to guys and get involved with guys' lives from all around the world who are just like you, trying to get in the fight to be better men for Christ. You get things like daily devos, weekly challenges, monthly gatherings, small groups, so much more. It's kind of like a Facebook group, but exclusively for Christian men, and it's totally awesome, and it's totally free. Getinthefight.club/join and check it out. Get more today. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, get our newsletter, get involved in our Fight Club. Totally free things to help you to get in the fight and win today. All right, that's it for now. Thanks for listening. Back to the show. Yeah, and we've said this throughout the book, of course. Again, in the book, we kind of give in every single section, both for the men and the women, questions to ask. And again, that's why it's not like a sit-down book to just read and be done with it. It's really meant to be engaged with. Maybe maybe during those weekly, 10-minute sessions, you could take one of the questions or whatever it might be. But I love the practicality of what you guys are saying there in terms of like, find a way to talk. Right. And again, it may not be even explicitly sexual, but as we're talking about that for the guy who's watching this podcast or listening to it, thinking like, I'm trying to fix that.
Yeah.
He doesn't always connect. We're not always good at connecting the dots that just talking with your wife, helping her to feel heard and seen and helped. That is how you are going to lead to eventually having a better sex life, because I think you were just kind of getting to this, Amy, a little bit. A woman that feels like the burden is on her unevenly and it's not fair, she's going to carry that over in a way that is going to lead to either just like uninterest, or maybe even just not, it's not going to lead to the openness for her to just give herself to her man. But the opposite is true. When she feels deep trust, deeply loved, knows that she's helped and cared for, that does lead to more of what he is looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The attitude from a woman that feels that way is going to be like, oh, one more thing I have to take care
That's
of.
right.
You, right? Like,
Yeah.
and we hear that all the time.
I felt like that before in our marriage. Absolutely. It's real. And resentment, like once you start scorekeeping all in your marriage, that resentment creeps in. That is the number 1 killer of intimacy. Like there's no wife that can just turn off resentment and
Mhm.
let's go off the fun in the bedroom. Not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Yeah. The word I think of often is like unmet expectations. Like it's the killer. It's
Yeah.
the killer, because he's thinking, man, I'm working. I'm, like you said, there's stressful jobs. He's carrying all this weight, and he's thinking as a guy, I don't want to bring that home to my wife, so I'm going to swallow it.
Exactly.
That's what he does.
Exactly.
She's thinking, let me help you. But he's thinking, well, that's not very manly. So he swallows it.
Mhm.
He is thinking, though, in his head, unconsciously, that I hope that she will just recognize it without me saying it and meet the needs that I have, because that would change everything for me. But he never communicates it,
Right.
Yep.
right? And she is having her own little dialogue in her mind. And now you've got two really good-willed people who are really for each other. They're thinking the same thing, but they don't have any communication around it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, the husband's thinking, I don't want to stress her with that and make
That's right.
more stress in her life, when actually, if they would talk about those things, it would actually bring them closer together.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's talk about this. I think over time, sex can fizzle, right? Bodies change, hormones change, stress, right? I mean, you go from, we have some friends at church that, they've got little ones. They've got like 3 or 4 littles, like 4 years or younger. You're just like, oh, bro, it's going to be a tough season. And then you
Yeah.
get to the next season, they're teenagers, and not only the kids changing and life changes, but our bodies are changing. Things don't work like they used to. You really have to fight to keep intimacy and friendship and romance and those things strong. Can you talk about ways here that maybe, again, for my audience in particular, speaking to the men, how can men lead the way to keep passion and intimacy strong?
You just literally answered the question. You said the word friendship.
Okay.
It literally comes down to that. Like,
Yeah.
especially in like the toddler years, we're a house full of teenagers too now, and we have one son that's already moved out. So we've kind of seen the different stages of like parenting already, and they're really busy in different ways, right? Like toddlers, and you've got like the middle, and then you've got teenagers who they're out late and just way busier and out of the home kind of things. Like, we put our marriage on the back burner a lot of times, thinking that our parenting is more important, right?
Yeah.
That's when intimacy starts to die down.
Yeah.
So the key to that is becoming best friends again. Like when you were dating, you're best friends. You're like text, or probably we're too old to be like calling.
Sending me a picture. Yes,
I wrote you a letter back then.
Send it in the mail.
We call each other. We were
Right.
going and doing fun things. Like me and Nick were playing golf and motorcycling together, and we wanted to go do fun things. All of a
Yes.
sudden, we prioritize our kids and we forget that, wait, we're a couple, right? Like we came first. And so it's really like simple. Like bring back the fun in your marriage.
Yes.
Like we were like literally at a really low point, like year 12, 4 little kids at home. And we changed that one thing called date night in our marriage. And our friendship turned around, our marriage turned around. I felt pursued again. He felt desired again. We were having time to each other to not get to know each other again, but like keep getting to know each other, keep pursuing each other. Hey, you're still a fun person. Like, we don't always just have to be parents anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Totally.
like, have that friendship, and you can be like, hey, let's go do this today, just the two of us.
Yes.
That rekindles everything. And so I think really like one of the main points is just like find that again. Like
Mhm.
make time.
Well, I can promise you that the men that are listening to this, if their marriage isn't where they want it to be, the majority of them are not having date night.
Mm.
When people reach out to us, one of the first questions we ask is, well, are you dating your spouse? And almost 100% of the time, if they're struggling, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think hitting on exactly what Amy said, we wrote an article titled How Date Night Changed Our Marriage. And it truly did. Like when you start dating each other again and pursuing each other and having those conversations, I mean, that's how you fell in love. So it only makes sense that if you want to keep that relationship there, you have to keep doing that.
I literally pulled
Love
our
that.
audience yesterday, and I had a couple thousand people I asked how often are you dating in your marriage? And I had a couple different answers for them this life. And it was like 50% said once a month or less, or never. And I'm
That's
like,
crazy.
that is why your marriage is struggling. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't have visitors. I don't have family members to help the kid. We don't have any money. Like there's tons of excuses you can make. Do date night at home.
Yep.
Amy and I used to have
I
like
love that.
game night where we would have something on the line for whoever won the game. I caught her cheating a couple of times, but there's fun things to do that don't cost any money that you can
Play
do at home.
cards together. Pull out a board
Yeah.
game. Like your
Yeah.
kids had, you know what I mean? Like just figure out how to have fun again.
I mean, you're so spot on. I mean, the practical advice of this is exactly why you're here, because you guys are amazing at this. You deal with this every day. it's life changing. Like
Yeah.
the things that you guys are saying today is life changing. If we can get marriages to just simply, if we can get couples to talk, how
Mhm.
you doing? Where do you need me? I love you. Like I think of this, by the way, when you're saying this in my head, I'm picturing for us, and I think for you and your story too, like 10 years from now, the kids are all out.
Great.
Many marriages fail at that point because they didn't do it 10 years earlier.
Great.
And now they look at each other and they're like, I don't even know if I like you. I don't really know you. We've changed, we've lost each other. And that's just so, so sad, right? Those married couples who've been married for 30 years and call it quits. You're like, how did that happen? It's because
Versus,
of the friendship.
versus the couple, like, I hope our kids aren't listening, but Amy and I are like, oh, it's going to be awesome when the kids upper. You didn't miss this. That's where hopefully the kids, no.
I get you. You're right, because you love each other. You enjoy
Yeah.
each other, and I think this is such a great lead in, by the way, to this question for you. When people find you, they're going to go, well, Nick and Amy, obviously this is easy for them. I mean, they probably don't know what I'm going through, right? You're laughing. If you're not watching this, you don't know that they're laughing. But the point is, like, there's a lot of story here, right? It's so easy to look at somebody and go, well, they probably just have it perfect. There's something they've never been through what we've been through. Can you just give like a synopsis, a quick story of how that maybe hasn't been true for you and how you did get to where you're at today?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you want my version or her version?
Let's hear it. Nick.
I'll give a real quick version, but we've been married about 23 years, and we had a really rough patch to the point to where I remember we were on the beach of a lake nearby, and I said something like, "Let's just end this. Let's just be done." Right?
Mhm.
And for the next 2 hours, we pretty much didn't talk to each other.
Mm.
Obviously, that was a horrible thing.
Dumbest thing you've
Dumbest thing I've ever said. But yeah, we were in a really dark place, and a lot of it was caused by things that I was pursuing or did in our marriage. I guess bottom line, had to learn a lot of things the hard way, maybe not having the tools or knowing things early on, which really could have helped our marriage. But we went through a lot of tough things, primarily caused by me. Thank goodness she was ducking out with me. But,
I was committed.
Mhm.
we went through a lot of tough things, and that's the whole reason why we're doing what we're doing today, and we've quit everything else we're doing, and we devote our lives to trying to help other couples, is because no matter where you're at, no matter how dark, like, you literally can turn it around, and you can turn it around quickly. I think people feel like, oh man, it's like climbing Mount Everest. Like, this is just too big. There's no way I can get past this. But it really is. If you start just doing the simple things, you'll see your marriage turn around extremely quickly. Now, that doesn't mean that things don't have to heal or forgiveness or things like that. I mean,
Mhm.
in different situations that take time. But if you're both committed and you both want a better relationship, it's easier than you think. And if you just implement the right things, it can turn around in a hurry. And that's why we built the app, is we're like, oh my heck, these things have transformed our life and our relationship. We want to share it with others.
I literally so we were at a really low point, okay, and we started dating each other again. We started talking. He started listening.
That was
Listening. We developed the app about a year after we turned our marriage around. Is that about right? A couple years. We put everything in the Ultimate Intimacy app that fixed our marriage, like literally. So we started with conversation starters. Like, you have to talk to each other, right? Like, this is why I'm mad at you. This is why I feel this way. This is what I need in our marriage. Like, those kind of things, they have to be discussed. And so we put conversation starters and intimate ones in there, just to start talking to each other, make it easier to talk to each other and get to know each other better. The second thing we put in there is the love quiz. Like, when you learn your spouse's love language, like, that changes everything. Everything. Like, he is such a physical touch person. I am not a physical touch person. I'm like more of an act of service, and that changes over stages of parenting.
Yeah.
Like, when we learn that, like, he's like, oh, like, I thought you felt loved when I grabbed your butt. Like, no, that doesn't really do anything for me.
So I figured, well, for you, right?
The dishes, like, and actually, like, thank you, right? Like, you have to have those
Yeah.
discussions, and
That's right.
and you gotta keep the passion. Okay, so I heard a quote the other day. I gotta share this. If your wife isn't craving sex, give her the kind of sex that's worth craving.
Mhm.
That quote. Like that's where our bedroom game came from, right? Because you gotta help her like learn how to love it. It's gotta be mutual. It's gotta be awesome for her. She doesn't want to do it. She's gonna be too tired and have a headache for it if it's not worth craving.
That's
So
right.
that's a big aspect of kind of what kept us together, right? And why we do what we do also. There's just a lot of other features in there.
Mhm.
Just I don't know. They can really if you sit down together and you really say we want our marriage to be passionate because our logo is like marriage should never be mediocre. It
Mhm.
should never be surviving. It should be thriving. Like I got married to have a passionate marriage. He got married to have passionate marriage. I bet 100% of anyone that answered that question would say, yeah, I signed up for a passionate marriage, not a roommate marriage.
That's
And
right.
so
Somewhere along the way.
somewhere along the way, we slip into this roommate situation, right? But
Yeah.
everyone wants that back. And so you just have to figure out what is keeping us from having that.
Mhm.
Turn that around. It's totally possible.
Totally possible. And thank you for sharing that story because it's so important and encouraging because people are listening coming from a huge wide variety, of course, of just dysfunction. We all have brokenness in our lives.
Oh,
Great.
Most people want to do it better. They want to get better. They don't want it to fall apart, right? There's stress and triggers and all kinds of things that are in the way. But then there's a guy going like, but what do I do? And I just want to say this as like just a huge plug for your app. It was like it was super helpful for me when I was looking. I mean, the reason that we know each other at all is because I was going online, like trying to figure out like where is like a Christian friendly space to have these conversations because I had come from years of abuse with pornography and other things. And I'm like, I don't want any of that. But it's like, where can a Christian guy go to learn this? And surprisingly, like one of the things I loved most of your app was just the conversation starters that you talk about.
Yeah.
You realize how little we talk about not just sex, but money, feelings, our kids, right? Like all
yeah.
of the things. And so I love the conversation starters for guys that are thinking like, I don't know about the app. I don't really want all the other stuff. I'm telling you, just go because your conversations will be richer, right? On your date nights, you don't have to come up with what are we going to talk about or how do I get into that?
Yeah.
But I also love how a part of the conversation starters does talk about romance and intimacy. And it's such an easy way. And that's what guys are looking for. And I know for the guys listening to this, you're looking for easy. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to have to think too hard about this.
I think women want easy too. Like we don't want to overcomplicate marriage.
Yeah.
Life is complicated enough.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Because literally, I know the word conversation starter sounds so boring. Why do I want to go get on some conversation starters, right? But me and Nick, we've been married almost 23 years. We pull those out. We have conversations that we've never had before that we were giggling over, that we're like, how am I going to talk to people over?
You
This
have
go
to-
into deeper conversations that last hours. So I'm telling the husbands out there, like if you're on a date night and you're like, I have this amazing resource. Can I just ask you a couple of questions?
That's it. Yep.
Couple random questions, and she's gonna be like, okay. And she's gonna get all giddy inside that you care.
That's right.
What it takes. She's gonna be like so happy that you care enough to like, I'm trying to pursue you. I'm trying to get to know you. I want to learn what romance is you. Like, I still really love you, you know?
And if
That's right.
you know your wife well enough, we did the quiz the other day, and I think we got like 55% right.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. So anyway, we totally failed. So
No,
there's still a
you're
lot to learn and get to know each other.
well, what I love about you guys is that you're winning at marriage and you want to help people win at marriage. And that's where we're at, right? Like that's what this is about. We're trying to help men become better husbands and get past that passive going. Like the passivity of man is to go, you know what? It's not what it used to be. We're fading out. And I guess it's over. That's what passive, weak people do.
Well, that's just marriage. That's we're told. That's just what happens when you get married. Is everything's going to go downhill, and
Exactly.
that is false.
That's what society is teaching. But yeah, that's absolutely not true.
It's not true. And I love what you said a few minutes ago, Nick, that it can change faster than you think. Like your story is an example of that. And if we lose hope of that, we will give up.
Yeah.
Right. Hope is so central to trying and to effort and to staying motivated with it. And again, like when they get the book, you can go on Amazon, you can get the book, you can go to Ultimate Intimacy, get the book. Like the idea is like talk about it, communicate about it, create, like you said early on, Amy, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day. Figure out a time when you can just look at your calendars and also schedule sex. You can schedule the next conversation. You can connect and say, how can we help serve one another? All of that. It doesn't have to be crazier than that. Start right there, 10 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I think we complicate marriage. I think we
Yeah.
get emotions. I think we need to realize in our marriages that we want the same thing. Like he wants to feel desired. I want to feel desired. We
Yeah,
want to feel like best friends. We want to feel like teammates. Like that's what everybody wants. It's not super hard to get there when two of you want that.
that's right.
And that we obviously takes two people wanting that. But when you both are like, I committed to you, let's make our marriage passionate again. It's completely possible.
Well, and I think for the men out there listening, if you do this one thing, this will be a game changer as well. Drop your pride and drop your ego.
Mhm.
Pride is probably the biggest intimacy killer in marriage.
Mhm.
You're in an argument and you have to be right and you just can't let it go. Or your pride gets in the way. You don't want to be vulnerable or share your feelings or whatever. Just drop your pride
Mhm.
and your ego. And I think that one thing, being vulnerable with your wife, will be a game changer for your relationship.
Absolutely. And I'm going to add one more to it before we wrap up the show here. But I read the stat the other day that said that the national statistics of divorce are like 1 in 2. But for couples that pray daily together, it's like 1 in 1,500.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like this astronomically better statistic that if you want to divorce proof your marriage, pray together daily, right? Do the little things, be friends again, hold hands, learn to talk, right? Have great conversations, start there and just see if it doesn't get better from there. I love the hopefulness that you guys presented today, the practical things. Again, I hope guys that are listening to this are taking notes. Maybe they'll just re-listen to it again. I often get guys going like, hey, I had to listen to that one twice. That was so good. I think they're going to do that for this one. Kind of tell everybody a little bit really quickly, where can they find out more about some of the resources, newsletter, different things that you guys offer that the guys can find?
Yeah. I mean, you can find everything pretty much through ultimateintimacy.com. We have the app, we have products. You can also get a lot of the stuff in the app in hard form, like our conversation starters or date night it is, or things like that. Yeah. So ultimateintimacy.com, you can kind of access our social media and everything through there. So
Awesome. Yeah, definitely highly encourage it. Such great stuff. The newsletters they do are very funny and great and practical. And again, just their mission is to help make sure that no marriages are mediocre. What a cool mission that you guys are on, and appreciate you so much. Thank you for jumping in here today. And again, guys that are listening, like there's hope, right? Like fight. We call this get in the fight because that's what it's about. Like the passivity of giving up. Don't give up. Right? God can change anything when you commit to him. When you start talking to your spouse again, you start being friends again, you start doing some of the things that we talked about today, it can turn quickly. And so stay in the fight, stay committed to each other, keep praying together, and God will do amazing things. But that's it for today. Grow your marriage, keep in the fight, and we'll see you soon. Hey guys, thanks so much for being here today and listening to the show. Please be sure to head over to the website at getinthefight.club. And before you go, if you haven't already, please subscribe, click the like button, and leave us a positive 5-star review. It makes a huge difference whenever you do. Have a great day. Go get in the fight.